Hi everyone. Welcome to the first meetup organized by Ceylon for the Cardano Summit 2021. We did say 7:30 for the meetup, but let's just give a few more minutes to see who has to join, and then we can kick things off. So, if, in the meantime, if any one of you who's present would like to introduce yourselves and just talk about a little bit about yourself, you guys are more than welcome. All right, everyone. So again, for those of you who just joined, welcome again. I am Sanjay Valigasekar. I am the community manager for Ceylon, and I'd like to thank all of you all for joining and showing your interest in the Cardano Summit. Kick things off, let me just give you a brief sort of agenda that we have planned for this discussion. So we obviously want to give you a introduction to what Ceylon is, which I know most of you guys must be curious about. And that will be actually given by our founder. And once that is over with, we will be briefly touching upon what Cardano is, along with what we have planned for Cardano in terms of projects, along with a little bit of an introduction to what staking is. So in order to start off, I'll just open the floor up for our founder, Kalinda. Go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Thank you, Sanjay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Kalinda, and we're glad to have all of you joining here with us today. And some of you who might be new to the blockchain space, some of you who might be veterans in this space, some of you who might be joining in from Colombo, other parts of Sri Lanka, and also from around the globe. We are happy to have all of you joining with us here this evening to the Cardano Summit 2021 Community Meetup event in Sri Lanka, alongside the World Cardano Summit 2021. So as Ceylon behind hosting this event for the Sri Lankan Cardano community, let me give you a brief introduction as to who we are and what we do. So Ceylon was started in July this year as a brainchild of a team of like-minded individuals in the blockchain and cryptocurrency space in Sri Lanka, as we embark on this journey to fulfill and build a brand that can represent Sri Lanka in the global blockchain space. While me and our team, most of whom are in attendance in this call today, have been in the blockchain and cryptocurrency space for nearly half a decade. And we have seen the way things have been evolving in this industry. And what we found out during this time is that a lot of the people getting into blockchain and cryptocurrency space in Sri Lanka tends to get carried away with a lot of get-rich-quick schemes, scam coins, currency shufflers, and so on and so forth. And that actually had an ultimate result in people, especially the society in Sri Lanka, seeing the blockchain space and the cryptocurrency space differently. And while what we found out during this time is that all these people who are in Sri Lanka who's actually getting involved in cryptocurrency, we kind of figured that there isn't a brand to represent Sri Lanka in the global cryptocurrency space. So one might wonder why Cardano and why we have chosen to support this particular project in general. So as we went on to do extensive research in various projects in the blockchain space over a period of years, that we found out Cardano had all the elements in place for a sustainable blockchain ecosystem. And we've not only looked at their vision, mission, and the journey, and also the developments in the technology that they've been using, and the aspects of not only that, but what was being built and for what purpose. The fact that it was 100% community driven and the decentralized models that they used in the governance. Therefore, based on all these facts that what we've actually realized that this is by far one of the best projects out there, which is currently trying to help change the world to be a better place. So what we realized over the years of doing this research is the fact that Sri Lankan community weren't really aware of the projects and the developments in the Cardano ecosystem. And what we noticed is that there is a need for good projects such as Cardano to be exposed in countries like Sri Lanka, where the IT industry is thriving. And the fact that we have a large number of youth who are already involved in cryptocurrency space in Sri Lanka, that we all know. But what we also know is the fact that most of these people who are involved in the blockchain space in Sri Lanka, they operate as isolated units. They have not been given exposure that they need. They have not been given a platform to expose what they're doing, their projects, their ideas. Even the Cardano community in Sri Lanka in general did not have a way to connect and communicate and share ideas. So we were thinking, how can we be a part of the Cardano ecosystem? And how can we represent Sri Lankan community within the Cardano ecosystem? And how can we get the community all together? So what we did was we went ahead and we developed the very first Cardano stake pool in Sri Lanka. And we are very proud to be the only Cardano stake pool in Sri Lanka, which is only 2 months old. And it's named Ceylon Lanka pool. And however, we have been, with this, we have been able to put our country in the global map, where Sri Lanka was not being represented in the Cardano ecosystem before. So while we continue to build this community in Sri Lanka to support sustainable and reliable blockchain projects within the community, we want to be a brand that helps educate the public about blockchain projects, what they can do in the long run with a clear vision, the projects which are sustainable, which has a mission and a roadmap, rather than projects with just short-term goals or visions, which are bound to be problematic in the long run, because we should not be looking at blockchains and cryptocurrency space as a place to just make a quick buck and get away. So our vision for Ceylon is a global one, and we aim to become the brand behind reliable and sustainable blockchain projects in all of Asia. So I hope all of you will stick with us during this journey and be a part of the community. I would not be taking up too much time, as we have more in-depth discussions to get into as we go on. So without taking much time, I'll let Sanjay speak a little bit more about Cardano as he moderates the rest of the discussions that we'll be having towards the latter part of this Zoom call. So some of you would already know what Cardano is, some of you might not. So for everyone's sake, we'll be giving a very brief introduction into Cardano and hope that this event helps increase your knowledge base with this. Over to you, Sanjay.
All right, thank you, Karinda. So now we have the introductions out of the way, guys. As Karinda said, I'll be giving a quick rundown of what Cardano is. So don't worry, even if you think this is brief, we will be having future meetups. So we will be getting into different topics of conversation during those meetups. So in terms of Cardano, so Cardano was basically founded by one Charles Hoskinson, and was basically designed for visionaries, change makers, and innovators who have similar goals in terms of global change. So Cardano is considered a third generation decentralized proof of stake blockchain platform. It's designed to be more efficient when compared with a proof of work network. Like I said, during our meetings, we will get into more of these technical terms like proof of stake and proof of work. There's more to Cardano in terms of all these technical meanings. So in a later date, in a future meetup, we can actually cover those aspects of it. So moving on, fun fact about Cardano is was named after a mathematician and a physician called Cardano, and native cryptocurrency ADA was named after another mathematician who was known as Ada Lovelace. So Cardano has a habit of naming their key aspects of their business after historical figures and historical people such as mathematicians and scientists. Even the 5 stages of their development phase are basically named after historical figures. So I'm just going to run you by the 5 stages of the development phase, as it is most relevant since it's a Cardano summit and we'll be going into the live stream pretty soon. So the 5 stages are basically, we start off with the foundation, which is the Byron era, and the decentralization, which is the Shelley era, and smart contract, which is where we are right now, known as the Gorgon era. So what's coming up next is scaling, known as the Basho era, and governance, which is the Volta era. So the best thing about Cardano is the first blockchain platform to evolve out of a scientific philosophy. And it's more research driven, it's a more research driven approach when compared to other blockchain technologies, right? So the purpose, I would say, so when it comes to Cardano, the purpose and the main goal through that technology is to give individuals such as you and me the power to decide how we want to control our own information, as well as how we interact and transact the way we want without having to have any intermediary parties involved. So this way businesses can grow without having to rely on a bureaucratic system, right? So Cardano is well on their way to reaching that goal, and uh, through this summit, we will be able to see what Cardano has in store for us as a country and as well as the global community. So in terms of technology, the Cardano platform has been designed technically from the ground up and has been verified by leading combination of engineers and academic experts who are basically pros in the blockchain industry, right? So any blockchain industry, the heart of it is the algorithm. And Cardano basically uses their consensus algorithm, which is known as Orber. I might be pronouncing that wrong. I know most of y'all might have a different pronunciation for that. But Orber, which is the algorithm that uses proof of stake protocol to mine blocks. So the protocol is designed to reduce energy expenditure during the mining of a block, right? So what this does is eliminating the power of massive energy consumptions and the use for a lot of computing equipment. So computer is basically used and a lot of energy is consumed when you're mining cryptocurrency. So this completely gets rid of that. And so in terms of research, as I think Kavinda mentioned previously as well, we have done a lot of extensive research when it comes to the Cardano blockchain, along with the ecosystem and the projects that they're working on currently. And this is one of the main reasons why we became the first stake pool in Sri Lanka, is because they have a totally different vision when it comes and when it's compared with other blockchain companies out there. So we really do believe that Cardano needs a representation in Sri Lanka. So we're taking this opportunity to go ahead and do this because we realize a lot of people don't know what Cardano is. Most of you might, but I'm talking about the general populace. Probably due to the lack of media. But I must say, with our research, we found out that Cardano's technology is quite phenomenal and it can actually make a change. So in terms of Coinsalon, our first goal is to basically get a good community up and running. And once we have a good community, we will be looking into projects which have, like Carl mentioned before, good vision and a clear path. And then once that's sorted, we can actually educate the public about it. So in terms of moving on to what opportunities that we have. So what we want to do is basically change the way people think about cryptocurrencies and the whole idea of scamming. We really want to get rid of that. So we want to change that way of thinking. So we are taking this as an opportunity to come forward during the Cardano Summit to talk about what we have planned with you guys, along with what we as a community can contribute towards the Cardano community and ecosystem. So that's a little bit about what Cardano is and what we have planned as Ceylon. So I really want to talk about one more small part, as I mentioned before, which is staking. Since we actually did launch Ceylon through our staking platform. So staking is the way most cryptocurrencies verify their transactions. So it's a way for participants to earn rewards based on their holdings. Cryptocurrencies is a process that involves basically committing your assets to a stake pool to support the blockchain. And this in turn will confirm transactions. in turn, the participants will obviously get rewarded based on the amount of ADA they stake on it. So for example, you could be staking about 100 ADA on a specific node. So node is another term for a pool. So the consensus algorithm would technically just basically select one of these nodes to mine their next block. So as an example, the consensus algorithm, there's a higher chance for it to select a node which has about 100K of ADA in it rather than a pool which has about 20K ADA in it. So the more ADA you stake in a pool, the higher chance for that consensus algorithm to basically select your node to write the next block. So in terms of staking, so this is what you have to understand. Stake pool is basically a reliable node that holds and maintains combined stake of various stakeholders like you and me in one single entity. So usually there's a stake pool operator who manages the entire thing. So technically running a stake pool does have its own costs involved, and that is completely taken care of by the stake pool operator along with the stake pool owner. So the people who are staking the ADA have nothing to do with the cost at all. It's just that you will be rewarded once the consensus system has basically chosen you, and you are rewarded based on the amount of ADA that you do stake. Right. So again, like I mentioned, delegating. So there's actually a few common like misunderstandings that so technically delegation and staking is sort of the same thing, but there is a simple definition for it. So a simple definition for it would be you're basically putting your ADA to work. If you're planning on, if you already invested in ADA and if you're planning on holding ADA for about 2-3 years to sell at a higher price, you could basically delegate your ADA to be staked on a pool rather than just leaving it on any platform to sell at a later date, right? So in terms of staking, you can use the Uroi wallet and the Daedalus wallet, which can be downloaded. It's an easy platform to use. You just have to register yourself, and like Kavind mentioned before, you can search for the Lanka pool and you can stake as much as you like. So that's all I have for you guys from our end in terms of the introduction and what we have in store for you. So we will be going to live stream of the event pretty soon, but at the same time, I'd like to open the floor for you guys. If you have any questions, you are more than welcome to ask us. Even if it's in Sinhala, it doesn't matter. You guys can go ahead and ask us. So please do, since we muted you, please do click the raise hand icon so we can get your question. So Karinda, myself, or anyone from the team can help you with it. Thank you guys for joining, and hope to see you soon. So we have a few questions, one from Madhusanka and one from Diana. So the first question is, what are the risks of staking? So technically, Karan, would you like to take up the question since you've got up staking?
Hi, Madhusanka. So staking, it's like this. So staking is different from different blockchain to blockchain. It's kind of different. Every single blockchain has a different way of staking. And here we're talking about Cardano. So in terms of risks, basically, if you're going to be staking with Cardano, your risks are minimized because what you do is basically the amount of ADA that you hold in your wallet, it never really leaves your wallet. So you're literally just saying you're just keeping it against a specific wallet. We could say it in simple terms so that you'd understand what we're doing. So in certain other blockchains where you need to lock a certain amount of not ADA. So if you just lock a certain amount of cryptocurrency through your wallet against a specific pool. So then you cannot withdraw, you cannot send it anywhere, you can't take it back to do anything with it. So it's locked. Here, it's more like it's not locked. It's basically it's a flexible way of keeping it against a certain pool. So your money, if it's in it, so you can't use the word money. If it's your ADA, it never really leaves your wallet. So if you're using Yoroi, for an example, you have your ADA in your Yoroi wallet and you stake it against a certain pool. And then whenever you want to take it out, you can just send it to anybody. You can get more ADA into it and just delegate it directly to the pool again. So basically, there aren't any direct risks to people who are staking. But when you're talking about risks, there are risks to the pool owners in terms of like so if we take Coin Ceylon, for us, the Lanka pool as host of this particular pool, we have a risk. How we manage this risk is basically if you go into staking, you will see the amount of money that's basically delegated from a pool. So it's basically like a security deposit, we would say. So each and every single pool has a certain amount of money that they have, ADA or cryptocurrencies that they have delegated to the particular pool. So that is basically like a guarantee that we keep in mind that if we do something wrong in terms of running the pool, the network penalizes. Therefore, like I said, ADA is one of the, if not the best way of staking in cryptocurrency where you have minimal risks. Of course, you can't say 100%, everything's 100% secure or there's not going to be any hacks whatsoever. But with ADA, the way that it has been developed, Cardano as an ecosystem, the risks are extremely minimal. So I hope that answers your question.
Hi. So Sanjay, thank you very much for explaining us about the staking pool. I was just wondering, I was watching Sri Lanka versus India stated in July, and so you advertising the Cardano stake pool there. Can we stake in that pool now? And is it open for public? And can anyone stake there?
Yeah, thank you, Rajita, for the question. Yes, you can stake now. This pool is already up and quite a lot of people have already staked on it. So as I mentioned before, what you have to do is you have to download either Yoroi wallet or the Daedalus wallet, search for a stake pool, which is known as Lanka, and basically stake any amount that you'd like. So in terms of the start of your question, yes, we did advertise during the match, and that was considered our launch, basically, since we couldn't have a physical launch due to the COVID quarantine procedures in the country. So one thing I actually want to mention is that we've actually released that advertising campaign to basically get the public aware of what we're doing and what we already have launched. But to our surprise, someone had actually taken a picture or taken a video of that and posted it on Twitter. And to even more of our surprise, that tweet had actually reached Charles Hoskinson, the founder of Cardano, and he had actually retweeted it back and appreciated what we've been doing in Sri Lanka, being new to the blockchain industry. So I just want to make a note of that, and like it was really nice of Charles to actually acknowledge that, and I'd like to thank him for that also. So yeah, like I said, the pool is already active. You can go and stake. There is no minimum requirement for how much you can stake. I hope that answers your question. Thanks again. Guys, it's better since there's a lot going on. It's better if you could click on the raise the hand icon so we can actually get to you and unmute you one by one so we can answer any more questions if you all have.
Hello. Hi, Sanjay. This is Kalhara. I have a question. Now you see there's a big currency crisis in Sri Lanka and all systems seems to be failing. Yeah. Can crypto help with this?
Sorry, Kalhara, could you repeat the question again?
Sure. Yes. So what I asked was basically there's a big currency crisis in Sri Lanka at the moment. And we see that all the systems in place are failing, and we are failing to keep the rupees to dollar rate, right? So can crypto help with this problem?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Color. It's actually quite a timely question, to be honest, right now. I think a lot of us, everybody in Sri Lanka is probably wondering this at the same time. So to answer your question, basically, before we go into that, what we need to realize is blockchain technologies and what we're trying to explain here is blockchain technologies getting integrated into legacy financial models. So yes, Sri Lanka's currency is extremely at a weaker state right now, with the banking system suffered from basically hyperinflationary pointers that are coming up right now, which we can see, and mainly based on different economic decisions that were taken from time to time. But I think what you're suggesting is if a government can get involved in creating their own currency per se to solve this issue, I think that's what you're trying to get at. So what I would say to that is what you're referring to is a model called CBDC, Central Bank Digital Currencies. So they are being tested in separate parts of the world right now. In fact, our neighbor India is actually trying to work on a model that I read a piece on a news piece a couple of weeks back, saying that they are working on a paper on that model. But what we need to understand here is, can a CBDC, a central bank digital currency, can it be used to establish sound money where no one can increase the money supply? Or this particular CBDC that's going to come out, can it be created in a way that it's not ultimately controlled by any offshore powers? So these are the questions that you need to understand when you're thinking of trying to replace a certain from fiat cryptocurrency, fiat currency with cryptocurrency. So yes, there is a way of doing it, but it's a very debatable and a very sensitive topic at the moment. So what I would suggest is, but yes, it can definitely be done. It is being tested in countries like Zimbabwe. If you go into do a bit of research, you might find something called Simbo Cash that they're doing in Zimbabwe, which they're testing out a different way of doing things. But what we need to realize is what I said. Yes, central banks can get involved. They can create certain regulations in place to do this. But what we need to understand is it going to be the same cake in a different wrapper? So that we need to understand, because if it's a CBDC that has an infinite supply where you can keep printing money digitally, how would that be different from printing money right now? So I think it's definitely a good topic that I think the governance models need to look at, and definitely things like Cardano can actually play a really good role in terms of putting an infrastructure in place for solving an issue of this nature. I hope this answers your question.
All right, so this next question is from R. Jaratana. Answer to your question is, so technically our stake pool is very new, only about 1.5 to 2 months old. So we're basically still expecting people to stake, and we would actually need quite a bit more in order for the consistency to pick it up. But in terms of ROI, we can see something in the near future. On top of that, Colin, would you like to add something else?
Yes, it's actually a good question. I mean, a lot of people must be wondering, with a lot of people when it comes to stake pools, the first thing they go into is asking, oh, what kind of return do we get from staking, even if it's a ADA or even if it's something else. That is something that they actually come into and always ask. But what you need to understand here is We are not trying to promote our stake pool here. We're just using that as a tool to be a part of the Cardano ecosystem. So yes, we are working on a few projects at the moment, which once you guys, we keep in touch with all of us, with the things that we are doing, what we have in pipeline, you'll get to know everything that we are working on. At the same time, to answer your question, each and every pool, like very rightly what Sanjay said, it depends on the amount of Cardano that you have staked in the pool. And based on that, on a theoretically perfect pool, we would be looking at something along the lines of 5.5 APY. But in our model, we are not really talking about it because we're not trying to get people to come and stake with us. We are just saying, yes, we have this. We are using this as a marketing tool also to get more people into Cardano, to get them to understand what kind of an ecosystem this is, and what are the projects that's coming on top of it. Like if you're in touch with the Cardano, you know that they had the Alonso upgrade on the 12th of September, and now the smart contracts are live. So with in about another 20 minutes, in about 25 minutes or so, Charles will be making a speech at the Cardano Summit, and you'll see some really interesting updates coming up, and we are really excited to share all of those information with you during this call as well. And a lot of things are happening. So for us, staking, look at that more in terms of way for you to make your Cardano work for you as a passive income, rather than keep thinking of it in a way that you can make a quick buck or something in the lines of that. But just look at this in a way that we are in a journey that we need to go for a very long time. Thank you.
All right, okay, guys, I'm gonna forgive us if we do miss any questions, because we seem to be getting quite a lot, but we're trying to catch up to the questions as well. So this is Vish Fernando's question. So in terms of an investment amount, there's technically no investment amount. I mean, even if you want to invest 10 ADA, you can do so. Even if you want, if it's 10 or 100 ADA, it's still accepted. So I hope that's an okay answer for you. And the next question is, who can we? All right. So for the time being, we have a social. This is Kalhara's question as to who you all can get in touch with in terms of taking the next step. So you can, for starters, we have our Facebook and Instagram and Twitter page already active, along with our website, along with our emails and everything are already on it. So if you want to discuss more of your next steps as to staking, please do send us an email or just drop us a message on Facebook or Instagram, and we will get in touch with you. And once we have the initial discussion out of the way, then we can move forward from there. So do visit our pages and get in touch with us through that, or just send us an email. We'll respond to you as soon as we can. Thanks.
Hello. Hi, I would like to ask, what would happen if Cardano gets hacked? Like, do we lose our money even if our money is staked? Or what would happen in that case if they get hacked?
Yeah, well, Kavit, you can take up the question.
Can Cardano be hacked? Well, someone once said the only computer system that's unhackable is the one that you disconnect from the internet power and basically take it offline and lock it inside a basement and put a dragon and guard it. So that's like a term that's going on in the tech world out there. Well, 100% secure thing doesn't exist. Nothing is 100% secure if you take it up as well. But having said that, but with Cardano, because the chain was built with so much care and was built using extremely solid and proven industry standards, basically when building things like space rockets, you can place a high level of trust in the software to not go wrong and get blasted off in space. So that can lead to a hack, but it doesn't really happen. So if your question is about can your ADA get hacked because of a mistake made by the Cardano team, the answer is that it's extremely slim. I would say that's the answer I can give you in terms of that. It's extremely slim. However, it doesn't mean you are unhackable just because you hold ADA. I mean, it could be a human error. Most of these hacks take place because of human errors. I mean, a guy with a hammer can just come and threaten you easily and take the ADA from you. You can fall for a scam and lose all your ADA. Someone can promise you, say, hey, why don't you transfer some of your ADA? I'll stake it for you, or like, send it to me. I will give you this much in return. Like, there's so many scams that they're taking place, or your computer can get hacked by someone, and if your wallet data is gone, if it's there, well, it can get hacked. So in terms of the tech being hacked because of a mistake by the Cardano team, my answer to that is it's very slim. I hope that answers it. Thanks.
Questions, but we do encourage you all to please do email us or message us on Facebook with your questions, and we will get back to you as soon as possible. So please don't be disheartened or be upset if we did miss one of your questions, because we are getting quite a lot of questions at the moment. So like I said, your questions will be answered. Just do drop us an email, and we do look forward to seeing each and every one of you for our next meetup. We will be posting that on our social media platforms very soon. So just take the time to now get into the summit. And thank you everyone for joining and showing interest. All right, guys, we have time for one more question. So we have 2 more minutes until the event starts. We have room for one more question, but everyone else, please do drop us an email or send us a message on our social media platform. Whose question?
I think there's a lot of questions waiting on the pipeline. Let's take the last one, I think. Andrew, is taking or holding the coin for long-term uptrend without trading the better option? Well, it's a good question. However, I cannot offer any financial advice in terms of whether you should be holding your coins for the longer run or they should be trading, because for us, it's more in terms of looking at the tech, what the blockchain technology of Cardano is currently doing, the projects that are coming on top of it. And ADA, it does only play a very small part in all of this. It just plays the currency part of it. So yes, I know a lot of you are in trading. I know a lot of you in Sri Lanka are in trading, and they are doing day trading. They're doing all sorts of trading when it comes to cryptocurrencies. And however, I would like to mention the fact that it's better while you do the trading, you also look into the technology side of things and you learn about the projects that are there. They're really interesting stuff that's coming up. There's NFTs, if you know what those are. These are on the Cardano blockchain. NFTs are just getting launched from the Alonso upgrade. So they are called CNFTs, Cardano NFTs. And I mean, think about all these other creative things that you can do. And these are the kind of things that we want to bring out from Ceylon and bring Sri Lankan community, our creativity of all the developers out there, everybody who's a part of this community, we want to bring together. We want all of you to be a part of this community and spread the word rather than trying to talk about projects that does not have a long-term vision or a roadmap of where they are going or who's doing what. It's better for you to promote and get on board a certain blockchain project, to promote certain blockchain ecosystem where you can be a part of it, you can learn something, and also you can be a part to help change the world. So thank you.
All right, guys, I think we'll have to wait 5 more minutes for the event.
Sanjay, one more question from me. There's no system to access majority of the databases online, or data seems to be getting lost all the time. Do you think blockchain technology like Cardano can help with this issue? If so, how?
That's actually a good question, and I think it's quite important for us to understand that as well. So I'm assuming what you meant by there's no basic system to access majority of the databases online. I'm thinking you're referring to Sri Lanka in general. So I'll base it on the Sri Lankan aspect of things, where we cannot reach, I mean, we can't access the majority of the databases online in most of, even if it's a government database, it's not easily accessible. So I'm assuming that's the kind of thing you're referring to. So if that is the case, so your question was, I believe, can blockchains like Cardano help with this? If so, how? So the short answer to this is yes, 100% yes. This is exactly what blockchains is supposed to be doing, and this is exactly what smart contracts are doing. Basically putting legacy systems, we can't say, a lot of people think, oh, we are putting legacy system out of place. No, we are not replacing legacy systems. What we are doing is we are evolving it. We are evolving an existing system into something much better with blockchain technologies. So yes, you can use, for an example, you can use a smart contract. So let's take perhaps a government tender. So if a government's working with the blockchain technologies, you can think of it like this. Say if there's a government tender for a specific project, so you create a smart contract for that, and then open the bidding process, make it transparent. Anybody can bid. Whoever is bidding can actually see who's bidding what are the qualifications, what's going into it, and you can see. And then once the contract's getting released, you can see if it's going to the highest bidder. You cannot do any underhand movements because it's transparency. So perhaps there's going to be a lot of resistance for it from legacy models, because there are certain ways things have been done in the past in certain countries. But as you can see, around the world, this has been, now it's changing. And you can see countries like El Salvador, they are changing their systems in place. They are accepting a certain cryptocurrency, and they're getting a different blockchain to implement the systems, the infrastructure. You look at countries like Laos, they're now talking about getting hydropower for mining. So all of these things, it won't be just replaced overnight, but you have to have a process in order for you to implement it step by step. So yes, definitely once you bring in the transparency of the blockchain technologies into legacy systems, definitely you're not going to be having any issues in terms of not having access to it. It's public domain, anybody can access. I mean, we all know there's a certain issue right now in Sri Lanka that if you all are following news, you probably know that there's a data loss of the NMRA. So the medical record system in Sri Lanka is now gone. So those things will not really happen, because even if they say, oh, it's gone, then where has it gone? In the blockchain tech, you can see where it's gone, where it is, who's doing what. You can see everything. It's transparent. So yes, when you are trying to implement transparent systems, you're going to face issues. That's a fact. But definitely the answer to your question is, do you think blockchain technologies like Cardano can help evolve legacy systems? 100% yes. And that is exactly what we need to be doing, even as a country, I would believe.
3 more minutes, guys, then we can move on to the stream.
I think we are waiting for a few more minutes in terms of the Cardano Summit taking up. So we're waiting for a few more minutes to go live. Until then, we might take another question, the last one. Let's see what's on. Oh, with the Sri Lankan government, do you think it's possible to use blockchain? Sorry, with the Sri Lankan government, do you think it's possible to use blockchains? Okay. Yeah, in the future, yes, of course. We cannot actually speak in behalf of the government because we are not a part of it at all. So yeah, what I can, however, say is, I'll rephrase that question for you. Do you think we should be working in terms of blockchain technologies in a governance model? Yes, 100%. Yes, because I mean, that's the future. We see a lot of things changing, and if we are going to go on the same model, we are probably going to get the same results. So based on that fact, yes, if you can integrate certain blockchain technologies into certain aspects of the government model, the governance model, I would say, yes, a lot of things could change, and it's happening around the world. So, I mean, yeah. So let's hope so.
For the Cardano blockchain, the CEO of Input Output, Charles Hoskinson. Thank you so much, Eric. Your selfie. Hi, everybody. Welcome to rough and rugged Wyoming. God, I love that reverb. Awesome. So, the lobster has a name. Thanks to all of you. We wrote the lobster contract. You guys participated, and guess what it is? Logan. Logan the lobster. I'll put him over here. He'll watch the speech. He has the best seat in the house. Well, welcome to rough and rugged Wyoming. It's a great place. It's actually my home, too. I live in Colorado and Wyoming. Parents live up in Gillette. I got a ranch out in Wheatland. It's a nice ranch. Got a few bison running around. And what's so amazing about this state is we just kind of do stuff. For example, wanted to build a road. I said, well, we need to do some blasting. They said, okay, just go buy some dynamite. I said, you need a permit for that? Not in Wyoming. That was fun. Anyway, Cardano started a long time ago. It started in a bar in Osaka, February of 2015. Some guys got together and they said it would be really cool to do something like an Ethereum of Japan. And then somewhere along the way, slowly but surely, it transformed from something that was a good idea with a little bit of alcohol, maybe a lot, to what we have here today, which is one of the largest, most prominent cryptocurrency blockchain projects in the entire world. I've been told that at this moment, over 80,000 people have registered and are watching across the world, more than 100 countries. There are people here, there are people in London, Cape Town, Tokyo, all across the world. Events all across the world, just like you, building, thinking, dreaming. So I took a moment to reflect, what is this all about? Why are we here? What are we doing? What are we trying to accomplish? Where does all the resilience come from? Cardano is special in that it probably is the most resilient of all cryptocurrencies, perhaps outside of Bitcoin. How do we know that? Because we get shit from everybody. Yet we're still here. We're still alive. We're thriving. We're growing. You know, I remember when we announced the Ministry of Education deal, we spent 3.5 years to negotiate that. Closed it during a civil war. What was the reception in the industry? They said, oh, well, anybody. You can do that. Well, then who did? Just us. I remember CoinDesk, after the New York Times announced the deal, they said, well, we can't confirm it, even though we have a video of the minister himself talking about it. We're waiting for comment from the ministry. Maybe it's the ministry's secretary who has to confirm it. And I just wonder, why the hell do these people come at us? Well, it's because this is a movement that's united by one general principle, which is we're crazy enough to dream that we can. There's a lot of optimism in this room. There's a lot of belief in this room that we can do things that no one has ever done before. You don't like your government? Rebuild the damn thing. You don't like your money? Make new money. And as an example, I was sitting in my office a few months ago, and I have this stuffed lobster that we bought, and just sitting there, and I said, you know what, let's make this thing alive. So I grab it, I move it a few feet, and I put it on my microphone, and now it's begun a journey. Everybody in the whole community knows about it. It's got a name. I've had graphic novelists reach out to me. We're going to do a graphic novel for the damn lobster. And you know what, we're sure as hell going to NFT it. You know that's happening. Decades from now, it's going to become something that's real. A stuffed lobster, move it 5 feet, and it becomes something alive. This is not a superpower that I have. It's a superpower because of this platform. The idea is here that all of you have. Every single one of you. That's why Cardano is viewed sometimes well, sometimes not so well. It is an instrument of change for the world. Where we started so long ago, 2015, and the journey that we've gone on, we've seen the growth of an ecosystem to a community in the millions. We have seen national press, we have seen heads of state make deals with us, shook hands with a lot of people. And where are we going? Well, I'll tell you, we're just going to keep growing. We're just going to keep changing. And Cardano in the coming years will be more defined by the things you do rather than the things that I did. And that's what makes it so special and so powerful and so durable. Look at Catalyst. When we started that last year, a few hundred people. Not a lot. Just a little bit of conversations. You could literally fit all of the people participating in a Zoom call if you wanted to. Now there are tens of thousands. As we go into 2022, there'll be hundreds of thousands, millions eventually. How much collective knowledge, intelligence, capability, execution is embedded in that? How do you stop that? Especially when it's completely recursive, it's self-bootstrapping. The community's in control of the funds, the community's in control of the ideas, they're in charge of the challenges, they're in charge of the ventures. The ones who do well continue to get funding, the ones who don't die off. That's a self-evolving system that continues to grow and bootstrap. You blink and it's an army. You blink again and it's a nation. You blink again and it's the whole world. And that's just one thing inside Cardano. We look at the progress with Ouroboros. Years ago, we said, hey, let's figure out a better way of doing things, a better engine that can process billions of transactions for billions of people. Well, it turned out to do that, you had to do a whole bunch of theory. Everybody thought we were crazy because we had to solve a half dozen really hard problems in computer science. Not to be dissuaded, we did as a community, as an ecosystem. Paper after paper, being mocked the entire time and way. Didn't matter. Kept the head high, went through the peer review process, and now look at what we have. We have Proust, Genesis, Chronos, Redux, all these papers that basically laid out the entire corpus of the theory of proof of stake. We didn't just write a protocol, we invented a new field of science just for this project. And that's just another thing. We look at Plutus, we launched Alonzo back in September. Well, September this month. September 12th. A little tired. And we've introduced the extended UTXO model. Now, where the hell did this thing come from? Did we invent it? Yeah, but it was inspired by ideas and concepts that were started 12 years ago. And ideas and concepts in the functional programming world have been around for 40 years. And they were merged together. Why? Because we look to the future. How will people use these systems in 2025, 2030, 2040, 2050? When you have billions and billions of transactions and applications and nation states running these things, doing their voting systems, their payment systems, their stock markets. It's not practical and feasible to run all of these things on some bizarre virtual machine in the sky. The point is the ledger is the proof checker. The point is the ledger is the validator. It's the thing that gives you certainty that what the person has told you is right. So simple of a concept. Yet, almost everyone in this space is ignoring that and chasing the exact opposite. Trying to take something like the Java virtual machine and just make it run in the sky. It's a fool's errand. It makes no sense. Satoshi actually got it right. He just didn't have the resources and the knowledge necessary to take it to its logical conclusion. Because that required us 4 years. And a team of scientists who have been building programming languages for decades. That's hard. And we stood on the shoulders of giants, dozens of papers, dozens of ideas and projects, things like BitML and Simplicity from Blockstream and other places who were thinking about exactly this same problem. And that's just one thing in this model. You need sidechains, you need light clients, you need all these other features and capabilities. This is the point of the project. It's an innovation engine. We're never, ever once distracted or dissuaded. We don't succumb to pessimism. We keep saying the same thing. We can do it. It might take 10 years, but damn it, we'll get it done. That's the Cardano way, and you're all part of that. And that's what makes this special. You see, the world is changing. When we look throughout the 21st century, because of technology, because of globalization, everything is up for grabs. Our institutions are fading. There's a lack of trust and dignity and respect between people. Things that we used to take for granted as kids are no longer solid and stable. A decade ago, if I heard something from the CDC, I'd believe it absolutely. I don't anymore. A decade ago, if we were told something from a prestigious scientific institution, we just take it on canon. most people in society, they have a little bit of skepticism. Even the integrity of elections has been challenged. It doesn't matter whether you believe it or not. The fact that the crowd, the swarm, the masses of society are having troubles digesting this in meaningful percentages is destroying society. Add that to the fact that our monetary systems are crumbling. We are told that it's okay to print $6 trillion out of thin air in this nation and that we won't have any inflation at all. Anybody buy any wood lately? Food lately? And then the people who supposedly know what's going on, what do they tell us? They say, well, as long as you exclude the price of meat and chicken and pork, price of food's not so bad. This is what we're told. So what does it mean? It means that everyone in the world is taking a step back and they're saying the time has come for new systems. The time has come for a return to honesty and integrity. The time has come for us to trust each other somehow in some way. Why does our industry command such a large market cap and so much evangelism and so much passion? It's because this is the only industry that's figured out a path to get us there without an empire. A path to get us there without kings and presidents and dictators. This is an industry that promises us that there is a way to solve the problems of the future, whatever they may be. The problems that emergent technology gives us, the fact that we're burning our planet out at an alarming rate, species going extinct all the time, the problem of all the violence that's come, the instability that's come. Totalitarian theological regimes have somehow resumed ruling nations. These problems, they're very real. And in the past, how we've always solved it is, go find an empire to go clean it up. Let them rule the world for a century or two. If you're in the in crowd, it's a good life. And for everybody else, so sorry, maybe you'll have the turn next. I don't want to live in that world anymore, and I don't think you do either. I'd like to live in a world where everyone is treated fairly. Everyone is treated with honesty and respect and dignity and transparency. These are basic things. We put them in constitutions. We put them in laws. We promise each other we'll treat each other this way. But you know what happens? Humans happen. And while the individual may be virtuous, the collective, somehow, some way, if left unrestrained and unrestricted, they sometimes have problems. The magic of this industry is that we can create almost an artificial law of physics for society. We can take the rights that we believe that we have earned and should have, that we should be born with, and we can put it into a blockchain. And then suddenly people can't cheat. The most powerful way of demonstrating that is what Bitcoin accomplished. You see, all these monetary systems, they say, oh, well, no, they have rules and predictability and we won't intervene until we do. Then suddenly this thing comes out that promises 21 million. That's it. Can't change it, can't reverse it. These are the rules, regardless of the circumstances. Then you see Silk Road happen, Mt. Gox happen. You see dozens of massive issues happen. You see nation states get involved and yell at it. Has it changed once? No. Not even when the core developers themselves were on the losing end of the game. And what does that mean? It means that if you can take those concepts and principles and put them into social systems that secure your vote, your voice, your dignity as a person, no matter who's on top, you're going to be treated fairly. That's the unifying theme, despite all the tribalism and the sectarianism and the fights that we've noticed in this industry that keeps us together, is that we just want to be treated better. We just want institutions that don't lie to us. We just want predictability. We just want to live in a world that's peaceful instead of one that's filled with chaos. Now, how do we get there? This all sounds good and fine. Well, first you have to build an army. We've got a pretty good one right here, don't we? Then you have to arm your army. And what do you arm them with? You arm them with knowledge and tools and capabilities. You first have to convince them that they have a lot of power collectively and individually. You have to give them the ability to think about how they want to live their lives, They have to give them things that they can give to others. So, provisioning. Well, we give them Catalyst. We got that. Then you got to give them a platform upon which they can do commerce, express themselves, their voice, their vision, their vote. So what's coming? Well, we've 3 eras into this. We have Byron down. That was very hard because we had to learn how to do that. We have Shelley, and now we have thousands of stateful operators. Cardano is completely independent. It's run by them. It's a decentralized movement. It's a virtual resource. It is damn near impossible to shut the network down now. Cardano has become like Mick Jagger. It shall never die. That was Shelley. Gauguin was programmability. It was the ability to start running things. In the coming months and years, we will see hundreds and then thousands and then tens of thousands of decentralized applications built by you, the community, empowered by Catalyst, empowered by collaborations. And those applications will run DEXs and oracles and voting systems and NFT marketplaces. Those are the things we see today. But eventually those applications are going to start covering bigger and bigger pieces of society. One of the reasons why Africa is so promising as a marketplace is because that entire continent is going through a massive upgrade right now. All the legal systems are being updated. All the infrastructure is being updated. The voting systems, all these things. The next 5 to 10 years, all of Africa is going to be completely online and completely digital, and they have no loyalty or preferences to anything in the legacy world. There are no grand Microsofts and Facebooks and Goldman Sachs and JP Morgans to contend with. And there's a tireless population who's very young. Many of the countries, over 70% of the people are under the age of 30, who grew up as digital natives, and they see the world they could have, the places they could go, the things they could achieve and accomplish. And thus, they vote for that. They protest for that. They fight for that. No one wants to live in a corrupt place. No one wants to live in a place of hopelessness and will never get there. So guess what? Give collectively billions of people those kinds of tools, and they're going to have a revolution. That's exactly what is going to occur. And they're going to build something so much better than what we have here. They're going to build institutions far more durable. And hopefully they're going to build it on Cardano. That's our labor, our pursuit. That's why we fight so hard. We're traveling all around as much as we can. And so far we brought in millions. And if they do that, those systems will run at costs that are orders of magnitude lower than the systems we have right now. Remittances will be the cheapest in the world. Credit will be the cheapest in the world. Best insurance system in the world. Most reliable voting systems. You talk about liquidity. The most efficient stock markets. The ability to take a $5 million company and have a micro IPO. These are the experiments that are going to be conducted in Kenya and Ethiopia and Rwanda and many other places. And you know what that means is they're going to work. And when they work, they'll create billions and then eventually trillions of dollars of wealth. And with wealth, there's power. And the rest of the world will see that. And they'll say, me too, I want to get on that. But the only way they can is to become like us, to join this movement, to change the way those systems work, to demand integrity and inclusive accountability and transparency and all the things that we're now enabling. Now, there's a lot of work to do. The rest of the roadmap has things like Basho and Voltaire, and next year is the first year where we do 2 of them instead of 1 of them. We're already working real hard. We've been working for 3-4 years now on Basho, for 4 years on Voltaire. So what happens? Well, main chain, the programming model improves. Keep doing things to make the developer experience better. It's going to be kludgy for a few months, as all new platforms are. Flagship applications come out, special accommodations are made to make them run faster and more optimally, these types of things. So there's a lot of Shelley-related work and Gauguin-related work that's in the cleanup crew. And there's a whole group of people that worry about that. There's more than 12 development companies at this point that work on Cardano's core infrastructure all across the world. Sud never sleeps on development of Cardano. Basho is about saying, okay, let's get the Hydra age here. Let's get a lot of this traffic into the hands of the stake pools, get it off chain, into side chains, to explore with new computational models, There is a place for technology like Ethereum. There is a place for technology like Yella. There is a place for technology that has yet to be invented. The point of Basho is to open that up and bring it to the ecosystem so that we can run at a scale of millions to billions of users sustainably. The point of Voltaire is to ensure that this system is forever in the hands of the people who care the most about it, you, the community, and all that come after you. We've already seen the beginnings of this with Catalyst, but there's a lot more work to do. Protocol parameters have to be in the control of the community completely. The SIP process has to be strengthened. We have to create standards process, especially at the smart contract layer. In addition to that, the hard fork combinator has to be totally in the control of the community. All of these things, these are cleanups. But in the process of doing that, we also have to do things like write a constitution for Cardano. Why not? You have rights. Monetary policy is different than just adding a new ledger rule. Adding a post-quantum signature scheme is fundamentally different than deciding whether to add a new sidechain or not. So there needs to be a hierarchy of concerns here. And how do you write a constitution? You write it with the people. And that's what we're going to be doing with you. We're going to come together, ratify that, put that right into the ledger, and treat it like a biological system where Cardano understands its own design. Spent all this time writing formal specifications. One good reason to do that is so that you get high quality software. But another good reason to do formal specifications is that it's the DNA of the system. And what do cells have? DNA inside of them. The system should know itself and its own design. Because then any person who has a full node has a full copy of all that meta, all that design. That's how you create resilient organisms that can never die, is you build in redundancy into them. You build in replication into them. And you create a process upon which that DNA can evolve. And then we'll see dozens of commercial clients flow from that. If you don't like Haskell, it's okay. We have Rust, JavaScript, Python, Java, mainstream languages that mainstream developers know. It's important that when you're doing new things, you do it right and it's correct and you have high assurance. But let's be honest here. There's a reason there's 25 million developers. There's a reason there's a diversity of programming languages and thought and infrastructure. So as the Voltaire age grows and we get the DNA of the system, the specification of the system into the chain itself, and the community's in control of where do we go in the deep future, there's also going to be a Cambrian explosion of infrastructure. We're already seeing this with DC Spark, building all this beautiful Rust infrastructure. Projects like Ada Lite, I think there's one called CC Wallet. There's dozens of these floating around. And right now they're nascent and young, but with the resources of Catalyst, the rigor of the community, the ability to follow a process, they will grow. And over time, they will grow to be larger, bigger, and better than anything we see in the rest of the space because they're built from the bottom up, resilient. Dozens of them will become hundreds of them. Dozens of languages will become hundreds of languages. And this ecosystem will continue to strengthen, continue to be more useful. Now, a lot of people call us a ghost chain, which is just damn perplexing. I even wore a Ghostbusters outfit just to prove a point. And so, if we're a ghost chain, how can we get such great partners? We mentioned the Ministry of Education. Well, did you know for the last few months we've been negotiating with a Fortune 250 company? We closed a deal. So who did we close with? Well, talking about digital transformation of the individual and the rights of humanity, that's fun, but businesses need to transform as well. So there happened to be a great business that came by the office a few months ago and they said, hey, you know, we're right now in the middle of a giant transformation of our business and we would like to have a discussion about how do we bring blockchain into this? How do we use these techniques and concepts like DIDs and microtransactions and having a wallet right on the cell phone? How do we pull those pieces together? Well, that company was Dish. And we said, boy, that sounds like a lot of fun. Let's go workshop that. About 3-4 days a week of meetings, again and again and again. We eventually got to a point where we made a deal with Boost Mobile to put DIDs, decentralized identifiers, on every single phone, 8 million of them. So that's just an example, and there's so much to build on top of that. One can build wallet infrastructure. They can build a dApp store. They can do all kinds of things and bring this to the consumer's phone, just like that. Now, why us? Well, because there's peer review, there's high assurance software, and there's just a damn good community that cares about these things. The other thing is, when you think about the growth model there, where is Dish going? They're becoming an ISP. You guys know about T-Mobile, you know about Sprint, you know about Verizon. These are cell phone companies, right? Well, Dish is a telco company, and they're moving into the 5G space and connectivity. In the coming years, more than 70% of America is going to be covered by their 5G network. Well, how do you build a network like that? You build it differently. You build it with new technology. You build it with new standards. And maybe you can build it with a little bit of blockchain in it. How about they be the first ISP to figure that one out? And that's the magic and beauty of the technology that we are building here today. It's built to last, and it's built to transform things. Your life as individuals, the lives of Fortune 250 companies, the lives of governments themselves, takes a lot of hard work. It takes a lot of heroism. It takes a lot of unique advancements and developments and challenges that exist. But we're never dissuaded by that because we were born of resilience. First, as an industry that was always mocked. Second, as an ecosystem that never seems to get a fair shake in the media and never seems to get a fair consideration. And third, as people. We're here to stay. Cardano's here to stay. Voltaire and Basho are just beginnings to a new era, the Cardano 2025 era. Let's look at the challenges before us. In the next 10 to 20 years, there will probably be quantum computers. That's a dragon we got to slay. But we're going to do that together. In the next 10, 20 years, we're probably, through this movement, going to invent entirely new ways of voting and governing. We have to contend with difficult questions like confidentiality and privacy. How much privacy should you have? Under what circumstances can things be de-anonymized? These are super difficult questions because there's the rights of the individual, the rights of the society. Over the next 10 or 20 years, we see an unholy alliance between governments and corporations to create this surveillance capitalism. You see it every day with Facebook and Google and social credit in China and other places. People working together, indirectly or directly, where you don't own your own data. You don't own the perception of you, the metadata about you. There's going to be a pushback. The pendulum will swing in the other direction. The concepts of self-sovereign identity, of you owning yourself, your data, your identity, these things. Well, we have to figure that out. There's no rules for any of these things. We're pioneers in this respect. It's an entirely new global society. Why? Because the things that happen in Ethiopia matter here in Wyoming. The things that happen here in Wyoming matter in Chile. They matter in Japan. Humanity has never lived this way before. We've never lived with such a global commons. We were always so local. So the next 10, 20 years, we have to figure out together, how are we going to do that? How are we going to build systems that are more open? One of the most magical things about the dApp space is we're also talking a lot about liberating applications in general from the control of the few. It's not fair that Microsoft and Apple and Google collectively get to decide what you can install on your phones and computers. That's just not right. So, when you build a dApp and a dApp store and you build these liberating models, you start poking holes in that funnel. You start loosening that death grip and control. You start having new standards. So another big component is, how do we as a community come together and figure out how to create standards for smart contracts, standards and certification for things. So there are 4 tracks in this conference. During the utility track, we're going to talk a lot about that. What are the blueprints of applications? How do you get them up on a blockchain so that anybody can access them? How do you curate quality when no one's in control? There's no custodian there to say this is a safe app and that was built by Bob. There has to be some sort of wisdom of the crowds. It's a hugely difficult problem. Just solving it for identifying a person was called Web of Trust. We started doing that in 1991. Still not completely figured out. The good news is we're not in this alone. This is an industry-wide concern, not just our industry, but the entire class of developers. This movement, Cardano Blockchain, is about liberating every single thing it touches. It doesn't matter if it's a telecommunications company that lives in an ossified monopolistic world with tight regulations and well, that's just the way it works and it's worked that way for a century and deal with it, to an app developer who just wants to make a video game and is tired of being told they can't do microtransactions or something else because it violates an app store policy. They're united in the fact that systems beyond them are constraining and controlling their ability to innovate and create. The point of the tools and the technologies we build is, first, everyone is free. Everyone has equal rights, and also you are liberated to live your dreams and create the things you want to create. And hopefully we're making that point. If you add up MOE and Dish, that's 13 million people just there the next 12 to 24 months coming online. If you look at the community itself, it's in the millions, and we're just about ready for explosive growth. Basha will bring new technology like Mithril. Now, I fully admit that sometimes Daedalus needs to speed up a little bit. I fully admit that we need a better light client game. The problem is that we couldn't just copy a light client design from Bitcoin or Ethereum because all these protocols were completely new. So it required some time to figure out new cryptographic primitives and new protocols in order to enable a safe light experience. Well, we're here now with the Mithril age. And at this summit, you're going to see presentations about Mithril. And this is not some far-off concept that's coming 5-10 years from now. Mithril is coming next year. Light clients with full client security are coming next year. And the same technology that enables Mithril to have a great light client experience, which will bring these tens of millions of people into Cardano, is the same technology that will rapidly speed up the validation of full nodes. So that means everything gets better. Daedalus gets faster. Third-party wallets get faster. And it's all open source. It's all available not just for Yoroi and Flint and Daedalus and other wallets. It's available for you, the wallet builders, building your own projects, for Catalyst, for all kinds of things to think about. And this type of technology is so foundational. It can be reused in Hydra. It can be used for ZK rollups. It can be used for all kinds of things as that thread scales. Helps the scalability, helps the user experience. But that alone is not going to get it done. We recognize the time has come to really make an aggressive push forward to getting Cardano into the browser and getting Cardano onto your phone. So we have a skunk works at I/O, and we've been working very hard. And some of the presentations here at the conference will be to show you guys what's coming in the next few months, which is going to be a light wallet that I/O has created. We're bringing to all the consumers. And it's a beautiful wallet. We haven't named it yet. We're having some fights about it. But I assure you, you're really going to like where we're going. Get the wallet, the identity, the voting, the delegation, all these things into the browser and make it easy to install. One click. Make it magical. And by the way, put a dApp store into it. And we have a dApp store we're showing off. We have a dApp store we're showing off too. And that'll come rather quickly. And what's so magical about this dApp store is to put dApps in it, guess who you have to ask? Exactly. You're getting it. It's permissionless. Yet, if you have this idea of certified software, what that means is while anybody can use it, what you can do is allow standards and community to show you what the good and safe apps are. It's a great balance. Open, yet somehow curated. Powerful, yet somehow light. That is what we're going for. That is what we're aiming for. And you know what? We're going to bring millions of users into this thanks to all these deals that we've been making and continue to make. And you're going to bring millions of users into it because you want your businesses to succeed. Just that simple. And every time we bring someone into this ecosystem, we are reinforcing and strengthening the core philosophy of the ecosystem. We're teaching people about the value of decentralization. We're teaching people that they have a voice and they can vote and they can decide where to take these things with Catalyst. We're showing people how to be their own bank. We're showing people how to be self-determined. We're also teaching people to interact with people they've never met before. That is so powerful if you think about it. Look at the diversity of faces. Look at the diversity of this movement. There are people right now watching this in Vietnam, right now watching this in Rwanda and Cape Town, right now watching this in Brazil, right now watching this in Canada, all across the world, over 100 countries. These are the people that are connected to you now. You can learn from them. You can learn from each other. Every single time we bring people into this infrastructure, little by little, it teaches them to listen more, to realize the world is much more nuanced, and it gives them their power back. So, a lot of announcements, a lot of things. 4 tracks: adoption, impact, utility, governance. Each and every one of them, dozens of presentations, hundreds of people from around the planet with incredible ideas. Amazing scientific thought, amazing thought on the engineering side, revolutionary ways of building things, an incredible community, lots of impact that's happening. But what unifies all of it is you, and what unifies all of it is the fact that we have dreamed together and actually accomplished something together. It is the privilege of a lifetime to watch this ecosystem grow and make myself so damn irrelevant. There is nothing I can say anymore or do anymore that in any way, shape, or form is going to derail Cardano. The reality is Cardano has outgrown its founder, and that's exactly what was intended. I'm still here. I'll still be here for a long time. But I'm now sitting on the other side of the table, if you think about it. The big announcements that come in the following years, the big things that come in the following, there's going to be so many more of them from you. Kind of like when you looked at the iPhone. Apple says, look at this amazing device, and it's a platform for creativity. How do we think about the iPhone? Do we think about it as a phone? No, we think about it as a collection of experiences. And each and every one of those experiences were built not by Apple, but by the community. That's where the Instagrams came from. That's where the Facebooks come from. All these things, these mobile experiences that you use every single day, some people more than 8 hours a day when they look at usability scores, they come from other people who have never met Steve Jobs, who have never partnered with Apple, know very little about them, probably never even been to Cupertino. That is where Cardano is going now, thanks to the Goguen era. We have these amazing DEXs coming out. There's the Dejed project, which is a gift to the community. So now we have great foundations for stable coins, tons of partnerships to announce, tons of people to come. I fade away because an army of people stand in front of me. And eventually you'll do far more than anything I ever accomplished, IO ever accomplished. And that's the point of changing the world. Create an engine to allow people to change it for themselves. We did that in our own way. You named the lobster, not me. And I just want to thank you for all of that. You made me believe in humanity again. You made me believe in people again. You made me believe that there are no problems we cannot solve, no mountains we cannot scale. And you made me believe that the 21st century is going to be better than the 20th century. In closing, never be cynical. Never believe that you can't. All you have to do to change the world, and we demonstrated that here with this movement, is just decide that you want to. And thankfully, we now have the tools to do it for everyone, everywhere. Thank you so much.